Hi guys, today we'll be talking about tuples. I know we've brushed a little bit on tuples, but this video we're going to go in depth on tuples and actually its application, and I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. Again, my name is Richel Attafuah. I'm a second year grad student reading statistics at Miami University, and I hope you guys love this video. Let's get into it. Hi guys, so in today's video we're going to talk about tuples. So by the end of the video we're going to learn about how to create tuples, how to understand their structure, to know the difference between a list and a tuple, how to unpack tuples, how to use tuples to return multiple values from a function, and how to recognize when a tuple is better than a list. So let's get into it. So the first thing we are going to do is to learn to create tuples. We've spoken about tuples a little bit, as I said in the intro. What makes it different from a list? So list, we use curly bracket for that, and tuples, we use just the normal bracket we are used to. So as you can see in this video, we have numbers equal. It's a tuple because it has the normal bracket we are used to, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And I have another tuple, fruit, with apple, banana, cherry, and apple, banana, cherry. So just 3 different strings. So I'm going to run it, print tuple, and print numbers is going to just split out the tuple of numbers. Print fruit is just going to spit out the tuple of fruit. The next thing, as we did in the previous video, we are going to look at how to be able to access items in a tuple. So as I told you in Python, the first index is 0 till the last number. So when we use 0, we want to access the first letter in the tuple. So for fruit, our first item there is apple, and you have told you if you want to access it, you're going to use that's indexing. You're going to use a square bracket. So you're going to use a square bracket 0 to see what value is there. -1 means you want the last item. We spoke about slicing in the previous 2 videos, and we're looking at 1 to 3. So the first is index 0, second is index 1, third is index 2, then index 3. But I told you it's not going to print the last one, the 3. So it's going to give us 1, 2. It's going to give us 2 numbers. So let's see when we run it. So you see that the first one at index 0 is apple. Second one at index 1 is banana. The third at index 3 is cherry. So it's going to print apple and cherry. And we wanted the second and the last one, right? So 2 and index 1 and index 2, which is banana and cherry. I hope this is very simple to understand. So to be able to access tuples is also similar to what we did in accessing lists, where we used indexing to kind of access the different variables within the list or the different variables within the tuple. So now I'm going to illustrate a very simple example here to be able to help us to differentiate between a list and a tuple. So you can see here the list is in the square bracket, tuple is in the normal bracket we are used to. So we are going to look at how we are going to work with it. If you remember in the beginning videos, I did remember that one very keen difference between these two data types is that one thing about data structure is that the tuples, you can't immute them. They are immutable, right? But with the list, they are mutable. What do I mean by that? For those who haven't watched the previous video, it means it's very difficult to assign a value after you've already created your tuple. You can't actually change what is in your tuple, right? You can create a tuple and try to change it again, assigning different values. That is not going to work, right? But for a list, you can do that. So I'm going to illustrate a simple example here that we have. So you see here that with the list being 1, 2, 3 in the square brackets, with that one, when I wanted to change the first index 1 to 10, it works. But when I try to do that for a tuple, it's going to give me an error because I can't change it. So you can mutate a list, you can change the values in a list, but you can't do that for a tuple. Once you create your tuple, the tuple, that is how it is. You can't change it anymore. The reason why I've intentionally taken these again and explaining them in details is to make sure that we have that solid foundation of these topics, because as we move along the line, these basic concepts are going to help us and help us to do better, right? Now we're going to look at how we unpack a tuple. So I'm going to run this code. So we see here that we have a tuple person with a string and an integer. So the strings are Ama and Accra, and the integer is 25, right? So how do we unpack a tuple? What does it mean to unpack? So that means we are kind of taking off our braces and giving them names, assigning names to them, right? So we are saying, oh, the first thing in the tuple, Ama, should go to name. 25 should go to age. Accra should go to city, right? And we are unpacking it because the tuple name, the tuple variable name we gave was person, and we are unpacking these names and equating it to person. So when we print out name, it gives you Ama, age, it gives you 25, and city gives you Accra. So this is no more a tuple. You see the final output it gave us, it has just kind of spit out these names as output, and it's no more in the bracket again. That is what we mean by unpacking. I hope that was so clear. The next thing we are going to look at is a single element tuple and try to understand it. So if I have a bracket with just 5, will that be a tuple? You guys can pause the video and guess your answer. So we are going to look at that because we are saying, hey, anything in brackets are tuples. So does it mean if I just have an integer in brackets, have I created a tuple? That is what I want us to look at. So we see that the first one, which had 5 with a comma, though there was nothing else in the bracket, that is seen as a tuple. But what had just 5 is just an integer, regardless of it being in a bracket. I hope you take note of that. So your tuple must contain more than just one element in the bracket. You can't just have 5 in your bracket and name it as a tuple. It's an integer. If I had 5.5, it's just what? A floating point number. It's no more a tuple. I hope that is very clear to us. So now the next thing we are going to do is we are going to create a function. We've learned functions in the video before this. If you've not watched it, please pause at the side of the video, go to the functions video and kindly watch it so that you understand this section, which is intersecting functions and tuples. So with functions, I told you the first keyword is def, which is define. So we are defining get student info. So the name of the student is Kojo. We are assigning names to the variable. The age is 21. The grade for the student is A. We are going to return name, age, and grade. So it's actually going to return it as a tuple, right? Because we've actually given them names, assigned it, right? So it's going to give you, the function is going to split out 3 different values. So it's going to easily give it to us in a tuple. But if we want to unpack it, we're going to say, oh, the first one should be student name, student age, student grade, and equate it to the function name, which is get student info. In that way, when we print, we just want the name, we just print student name. If we want the age, print student age. If we want the grade, we print student grade. That's the reason we have to understand tuples and understand how tuples actually work intersection with functions. And if we don't want the function to just spit out all these values together, that is why we learned unpacking tuples, so that we're able to understand how to actually navigate this. So I'm going to run this. So we see here that the function, the output from the function was a tuple, but after we unpacked it, it just gave us different variable, an integer, and a string, right? Now, I hope this was really clear, because one very key thing we touched on was actually understanding tuples and being able to understand how to unpack tuples, being able to understand that tuples are immutable, right? And being able to understand that, hey, you can also do this indexing and slicing in tuples. The only thing you need to know is that, hey, they are immutable, right? So we've spoke about how tuples are ordered and immutable. So that means you can find the index 0, 1, 2 going. we saw that we create them using parentheses, right? The normal brackets we are used to. We saw that you can change the data in a tuple, that is, it's immutable. And you can easily unpack a tuple, which is what we looked at, where we kind of assigned the student name, student age, student grade to the function, and we just unpack them separately. We looked at how a function can return tuples and how you can make your function return tuples. So we looked at the intersection between functions and tuples. And guys, I would like you to try something. I know I've not given you guys assignments before in the video, but I want you to try to create a tuple with a function that is going to return the title, the author, and the year. When you're done, you can unpack that tuple, right? So that it gives you just, oh, give me just the author, give me just the title, give me just the year, instead of putting it together in a tuple. And when you finish with this assignment, you can just put it on GitHub and just you can send me a message on LinkedIn for me to check out your GitHub and check out the solution of what you've done. And I trust to be able to do it if you just follow this notebook on GitHub and just follow the instructions through it. And I believe you'll be able to do it. Also, do read my Medium article post on this video that is on Tuples to kind of have a further and a deeper understanding of everything. And guys, I'm so happy. This video was actually really good, and I hope you guys really loved it. Thank you.